We all to this regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning Commission for Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. I'd like to open the meeting at 7:30. May we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have roll call, please?
Mr. Carpenter,
Here.
Ms. Collins,
Here.
Mr. Hale,
Here.
Mr. Hara,
Here.
Mr. Kucera,
Here.
Ms. Lalonde,
Here.
Mr. Nushai, Ms. Redmond,
Here.
Mr. Solomon.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 4 is approval of tonight's agenda. Does anybody have any changes they'd like to make to tonight's agenda, or is everybody happy with the way it is? Seeing no problems, I will approve it as it stands. And we'll move on to agenda item number 5, which is approval of the regular meeting minutes from November 25th, 2025. That'll be our last meeting.
Motion to approve November 25th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Support.
Motion support. Everybody happy with it? No changes? Can I have roll call, please?
Ms. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Hale,
Yes.
Mr. Hara,
Yes.
Mr. Kucera,
Yes.
Ms. Lalonde,
Yes.
Ms. Redmond,
Yes.
Mr. Solomon,
Yes.
and Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 6 is public discussion. Is there anyone from the public wishing to opine on something this evening? We'll give you a little time to talk if you have any of interest. Seeing none, we'll then close public discussion. And we'll move on to agenda number 7, which is consideration of the special land use application for 607 North Rochester Road, which is Clausen Auto Service. And Mr. Tangeri will start us through this.
Yes, thank you. Joe Tangeri, Giffords Webster. I am the city planning consultant. So we are looking at 607 North Rochester Road, probably better known generally as the former Napa Auto Parts. And it is in the I-1 Limited Industrial District. The site's about 0.45 acres. It's at the northwest corner of Rochester Road and Goodale Avenue. And that Napa Auto Parts building is still there. It's about 6,000 square feet, one story. As is often the case here, the site has multiple nonconformities. During site plan review, we always do look to reduce nonconformities to the extent possible. It's often the case when we're working with existing buildings that we can't achieve complete conformity with current standards, particularly when we're looking at reuse of an existing building rather than like scraping a site. If we're scraping a site, we're usually looking for full compliance. So looking at surrounding sites, we're surrounded by I-1 in all directions except to the south where we have RM1. The uses are a little different, though. The industrial zoning to the west is actually occupied by a house, and then some of the RM1 property to the south is like a mix of single-family and commercial. So not all as zoned. They're proposing to reoccupy the building with an auto service use. That's a special land use in the I-1 district. It's subject to the standards of 442, which are in the letter. They're describing their business operations as customers bringing in their cars for minor repair and waiting during repairs. The site plan also includes some notes elaborating on that arrangement. The customer parking spaces would be primarily used for cars that are brought in for repair. And then their personnel take them into the building in the back and then bring them back out for the customer. And we'll let them elaborate on that as much as you need them to. We have existing building here, so the setbacks aren't proposed to change at all. We've just noted what they are. The same with the building height. They actually are compliant with the district standards in this case. They are providing 12 parking spaces. 5 are labeled employee spaces and 7 are customer spaces, including 1 ADA space. This use requires 2 spaces per service stall plus 1 per service vehicle. I don't believe they have a service vehicle, but they didn't provide any indication of the number of service bays or otherwise indicate how many they're planning to have. So we were having trouble figuring out exactly how many parking spaces they needed to have. We've spoken to them since then, so they should be prepared to address that this evening. And then the design of the ADA space does need to be revised a little bit to show compliance with requirements for van accessible spaces. There's area available for that, but they have to show that striped area that's typically next to one of those spaces on the plan. We have a maneuvering lane between the building and the customer parking spaces. It's 19 feet 5 inches wide. That's less than the required width, which is 24 feet for a 2-lane or 20 feet for a 1-way. That is an existing condition. You can't really see with the faded lines on the site right now, but the parking spaces are there now. The pavement is continuous between this site and the site to the north, both in the front and the back. So we'd like them to confirm that cross-access is permitted, particularly in the front where you've got that other driveway there. It should ultimately be formally guaranteed by an easement or other agreement. Establishing one-way flow through there would bring the site closer to compliance with the parking lot design standards. They could come in on the side and go out the front, or come in the front and go out the side. And we don't have a 10-foot green belt like we normally would require there. That's another existing nonconformity that is most likely going to be okay to carry forward on the site. They have loading behind the building. Cars are going to enter the building through that existing roll-up door. They are providing a trash enclosure. We didn't see a detail of that, and ultimately will need to. It's just south of the northern property line, right behind the building. It is indicated to have a concrete masonry wall, and it does show kind of a little gate-looking icon on there as well. So it seems like it's going to be compliant, but we do need to ultimately see a detail. Building's built from concrete masonry units. Those were painted by the previous applicant. There's kind of a wood facade on top of the CMU above the primary entrance. We didn't see any drawings to indicate any changes that might be proposed to the exterior. It's going to require some repainting. There's some extensive peeling on the back of the building especially. They haven't indicated any screening of rooftop equipment. The parapet does appear to provide screening from the east, north, and south, but you can see the units from the west. They've got their 6-foot wall in back. The site doesn't really have much landscaping, as is the case with most of the sites over here. There's a tree of questionable health in the front yard. They noted that they'll replace that if necessary. My suspicion is that it will be necessary. There's a lawn in front of the knee wall along Goodale that currently has 1 tree. There could be an opportunity to provide a little additional landscaping in that part of the site. For lighting, we see 2 fixtures on the building. They don't seem to be proposing anything else. I would like them to confirm that they're not proposing anything else. The fixture in the rear seems like it could be angled down to be compliant with our ordinance. The fixture on the side is kind of like 2 big bulbs that it seems like it's not going to be able to be made compliant. So that might have to be replaced. If they are going to propose any like pole-mounted lights off the building, they'll need to provide us with a photometric plan. But again, I don't believe they're planning to do that. They're maintaining the existing sidewalks. Access, it has a couple driveways off Goodale, and then can be accessed from the north, both in front of and behind the building. Again, would like to have some confidence that the northern neighbor couldn't shut that cross-access down, particularly in front of the building. We have our standards for auto repair garages. One of these is an issue, the other two are not. So we have a separation standard of 200 feet, where this use has to be 200 feet from any residentially or commercially zoned district, which does not really describe any property in Clawson. So we've dealt with the standard in the past. We've had 2 auto repair garages come through. The Planning Commission in the past has approved those auto repair uses conditioned on a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals from that 200-foot standard. We have had internal discussions about this standard and one other for veterinary offices that just don't really seem realistic given the size of lots in Clawson, and we should probably be looking at removing those from the ordinance because they simply can't be met in most places in the city. So they're not very practical. It's not a very practical standard to have in the ordinance. We have a set of standards for granting special land uses. That's item 15 in the letter. I won't read through the whole thing. It's supposed to snow later, so try to get everybody out of here at a reasonable time. Do you have any questions for me before we let the applicant come up here?
Joe, in this district, with the parking, is there a knee wall required? Buffering the parking lot to the sidewalk?
So we have one in the back along Gooddale, and I think that's been there for quite a long time. In the front, yeah, we would typically, if this was a blank slate site, we would typically require a buffer in front of the parking lot. And we do have knee walls in quite a few places. If you look down 14 Mile, for instance, and we normally do require that. We do have a non-conforming situation here. The other thing is that we don't have the full depth of the lot that we would normally like to have for a maneuvering lane and the parking spaces. So I'm definitely open to talking about the knee wall, but I also worry that without any separation from the parking spaces and that lack of depth, that it would probably get hit like almost immediately.
One of your comments was that the side light fixture should be replaced because it's not correct. Is this the same fixture that was on Napa Building? Was it okay?
Yeah, it's already there. Ideally, it would be replaced.
Just the direction of it is not correct or compatible.
It just doesn't have any shielding. The other one, you can set it at a parallel angle to the ground and it will meet our requirements. The one in back, the one on the side though is not. It's
Okay, and then you mentioned applicants should confirm that the agreements are in place to permit cross-access in front of the building. It's not like a shared parking agreement, it's just an agreement that people can drive on both pieces of property.
yeah, and we've got that on a lot of properties over there because there's tons of situations like this where you have this sort of where does one parking lot end and the other begin type of situation. You can tell when you look at a parcel map, but you can't tell when you're just standing on the site.
Is that something we should require, though, in our,
I do think that, yeah, it's something that we would like them to show that they can use that driveway to the north.
okay. And the variance that they're going to need from the Zoning Board of Appeals will probably easily be granted because it's a confusing problem.
Yeah, there's precedent for it as well.
I see no problem with that. We have lost a place here with the landscape and the trees. There's a questionable tree there. That tree was put in a few years ago by Napa, and it was questionable at the time. We didn't know if we wanted a tree there or not. Because of the location of the building, we were afraid if you get the wrong variety of tree, you're going to block some view in there. And I knew the tree was planted, and I just don't know if it was maintained correctly or not. But it's a tricky corner. You
Yeah,
don't want to block view of traffic with a huge tree.
they put a columnar tree in there. I think one of the things that happened is that they failed to trim it up. And it looks like it's just got kind of like a lot of branches going. You might be able to even salvage it by trimming it up. I don't really know, but the columnar tree is probably the more appropriate type of tree there.
Could we rely on code enforcement to look at that? And
Yeah, I mean, certainly if it's dead, then that would be something that could be.
It looks pretty
Noted.
dead. There's still leaves on it.
Yeah,
No, I don't
it
think
does.
it's
There's
gonna-
leaves on it now, which is not usually a sign of health
Yeah.
in a tree.
any other questions for?
Yeah, I have a few. What do you mean by reoccupy? Is this the same, reoccupy?
It's the building's being reoccupied by a different user after the last user left, basically. That's the typical term for that would be a reoccupancy.
Okay, but it's not the same use and not the same tenant?
Yeah, not the same use or tenant, yeah. It was an auto parts store, now it's going to be auto repair.
Okay, just want to confirm that. And for the special land use, it seems like there needs to be, one of the most important parts is that we have to find that the use, the planning commission shall find that a need for the proposed use exists in the community at the time of the special land use application. I guess I'm not sure that it's necessarily a demonstrated need, and I don't know if they're able to speak to that, or if there's some kind of service that I don't know about being provided there, that isn't provided across the street or kitty corner or anywhere else on Rochester, because I believe there's 3 of them there. And were they asked to submit a full site plan with the building and the bays or landscaping? There's a lot, it seems to be missing from this application, including, the landscape plan, the lighting plan, and the actual building layout. Was that something that was conveyed to them at all, or?
Well, so I think that when they did submit, because they were reusing the existing building without really looking to modify the site at all, they were allowed to submit a little bit less information than usual. I didn't get quite as much as I wanted, but the fact that there's not really construction occurring on the site was a factor in how much information we were willing to accept.
Depending on how many bays they put inside the building, those are going to affect the outside parking, right?
Yes, exactly, which is something that they need to address
That's
tonight.
a point we're going to have to need to know.
Yeah, and I just don't know how it's maybe there's a use, like I said, is this a regular service of like changing brakes and oil, or is it a service that isn't provided somewhere else across the street, down the street?
We can probably
Do you
ask
know?
the applicant that.
Okay, okay.
Any other questions for Joe?
Joe, in the parking looks to be, to me, like it's gonna be out front on Rochester Road, which is
That's
allowed in
The guest parking, yeah.
Yeah, which is allowed. It does seem like it's, so when you're speaking of the maneuvering lanes, you're speaking of, are you speaking alongside the building towards,
It's the way you access the parking spaces. So between the building and the parking spaces is where we're talking about there.
so between the building and the parking spaces? Okay, so they'd be coming in through that shared access?
It's two-way.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's all
so-
two-way.
A two-way, you said?
Yeah, it's all two-way at the moment.
Okay, I'm on Rochester Road. Is that two-way as well? Where
Yeah,
it's
so
front
the
of building?
driveway onto Rochester Road is actually on the neighboring site.
Okay.
And this, you can go in either direction from this site to that site to use that driveway.
So if they're going to have customers access their site through that driveway, that's the agreement that you're looking for?
Yeah, exactly. I'm
But-
just looking for, I just want to know that the northern neighbor can't say, you know what, you guys can't come in here, put a bunch of something there, bumper blocks or something, and say you can't use my driveway anymore.
Well, yeah, and I could see people driving to the back of the building through that, which seems, if I were that neighbor, I wouldn't enjoy very much. If my customers are parking alongside my building, you don't necessarily want it to be a thoroughfare through. So I just want to get clarity on that, but it's not marked on the site plan as if that's going to be used as a drive at all.
They haven't marked it specifically, but as I noted, it has been used that way in the past by the previous user. So folks
Okay.
going to Napa
Yeah.
were using that driveway, both to come in and go out.
Okay,
Yeah, the agreement they're going to need from the neighbor is to be able to drive cars through that property, not park on it, though. It's not a shared parking agreement, it's just simply that they can drive through.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, but I'm concerned that people will drive not just to the parking lots, but go around to the back towards the service, around the back of the building, right? And use that, did Napa ever use it as a thorough access?
I don't think, I mean, I'm sure people have done it, but I don't think that was ever the intent
Okay.
as from Napa. Because the northern neighbor, if you look at historical aerials, the northern neighbors oftentimes park right along that property line in the back, so you can't really get through.
Right.
Usually, with the dumpster enclosure back there, you won't be able to get through really at all, if the neighbors are parking there.
Okay,
There's
Okay.
kind of, the property line kind of goes to the south and then back, or, well, from your perspective, I guess this way.
There is no dumpster on site now?
well, the property, sorry, but the property line might, but there's still access. It's not, there's not a fence or a wall there.
Yeah, there's no physical
It's wide open
separation.
back there,
Yeah,
right?
there's
So
no
it could
physical
easily
separation.
be used that way if, even though it's not their property, right?
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
It's the neighbors usually parking there, so.
Okay.
It's typically blocked during the day, between 9 and 5 anyway.
Okay.
Further questions for Joe?
Just, curious, you sort of said that we were going to try to encourage them to do a one-way flow, perhaps from would it be from Gooddale towards the north, and like a herringbone angled parking, perhaps?
I mean, I do think it's worth talking about, because it would help things fit a little better. We could get a little more compliant with the ordinance. It's partly a matter of whether or not they think it'll be practical. But yeah, it's definitely worth talking about.
Yeah. Is there space to maybe extend a little bit of green space? Maybe not the full requirement, obviously, but, 10 feet, something like that. I think in the end, the Excel collision looked a lot better because we preserved that green space there, and they did some nice landscaping. I think it added a lot to the overall, street appeal of it. So, yeah, I guess my only comment at this stage is just I would have liked to see a little bit more detailed plan and maybe some thought put into that parking situation, and definitely got to know where the bays are going to go, where the traffic is going to go in and out of the building. But yeah, maybe hear from the applicant if they're here.
Any other questions for Joe? Is the applicant here? Would you come to the microphone, please, and perhaps answer some questions for us?
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Evening. You are taking over the building and doing all the changes, and what's your company name then? or
It's
what do you-
called AutoPro and CarFix, and my architects are here as well. So if it gets complicated, I'll call on them.
Okay,
But-
is this a one-off, or is this a chain of,
yeah, so we own 4 stores. We've been in this community actually on Maple. Technically, it's Troy still, but we've been serving a lot of the Clawson community since 2011.
okay,
And we have a store in Troy, and on just south of Waddles, we bought that building in '22. And we have a store in Waterford and in Shelby Township.
and it sounds like the majority of work you're doing is small, I bring my car in, you fix it right away, and I go?
Yes, sir. About 90% of our work is same day.
Okay. Any further questions from?
Well, I mean, if you want to speak to any of the questions I brought up
Yeah.
earlier, and you have architects, but I haven't seen are they they're the ones that did this? Did they have anything for the building itself, or?
So in all transparency, we had a meeting with the planners, and we asked what we could have done, and to Nick and Joe, they We kept it simple because we did ask whether we needed a building plan or not. We were told to only submit a site plan. We can certainly make a building plan. That's 100% no problem. I think someone asked how many bays. We plan on having about 5 bays in this building. And there's only one bay door, so the traffic flow, to your point, Sarah, will not change. It's going to be whatever that one bay door is. We'll be using that door. We don't plan on adding any more bay doors to that the exterior of the building. For 5 bays in our existing operation over at Auto Pro up the road, we have 6 bays in there, and we have 9 parking spots, and we've been there for 14 years, so that seems to be okay with the workflow that we have.
I mean, it doesn't sound like you stack cars up or hold them there for any length of time. Do you keep cars overnight by any chance? Or?
We try not to. Yeah, we don't profit, neither does the customer, from
I would
holding
imagine
cars.
it might happen occasionally, but that's not a
Sure.
standard practice. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but that wouldn't meet our parking requirement of 3, so it's two spots per bay, plus 1 for service, right? Is that what it?
There's 1 per service vehicle. If they don't have a service vehicle,
We
they
don't.
wouldn't be
Oh,
required.
okay, so 2 per bay, okay.
They've got 12 spaces, so 5 bays would be.
Okay.
They're adequate on that, yeah.
Do you want to speak to the use?
Could you be specific about that?
Just one of you're a special land use, you're not zoned for that in that building, so you need to demonstrate to us that it is
There's a
a
need.
need in
Yeah.
our community, which I spoke of earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good observation. In all transparency, I have not studied whether Clausen, I don't have data, let me just say that. I think I can get some, though. I do have some access. But to your point with, there's 2 things I'd like to say. One is we just can't fill the demand at our other 2 stores, which are, Auto Pro is literally half a mile from here. So from our experience, there's a great demand. And the same thing, I mean, we wouldn't be opening up a shop half a mile down the road if we didn't have the feel of a demand. The same thing with the store up the road in Troy, but I mean, that's a different market. And the second is, I know Kenneth Bayless very well. She's incredible. But that's the only shop really in the city of Clausen, to my understanding, that's like an actual service facility, unless you guys can correct me here.
Yeah, that's all we really have is like AutoZone and Pep Boys, something that's windshield wipers they go do in the parking lot, that's it.
Correct. So they're the only, as far as I know, again, I may be mistaken, but
Yeah.
they're the only full-service facility that can do everything. And Troy and Kenneth are so busy. I mean, they have to park their cars across the street at the church. I'm sure you know, and Troy's great. But, as a professional and the data that I have from just my business alone, there is a tremendous unmet demand. I think people have to leave Clausen mostly. And to the point that most of our business in Auto Pro and Maple comes from Clausen. And I'm happy to provide the data if needed.
Yeah, I thought there was more, so you don't do any collision work or
No.
painting work, you're doing tires, brakes, those
Yeah.
types of?
General auto repair. Yeah, there's like 3 collision shops on that road. So to your
Yeah.
point, yeah, you're absolutely, there's a lot of collision,
Yeah,
but we don't do collision.
okay. And then how do you, maybe it's an architect question, but do you have an agreement with the
Neighbors.
neighbor north of you?
I think I could get that. So to give you guys context, we have this building under contract right now with the seller. We don't own it yet. It's contingent upon your guys' approval. So if it's not approved, then I know obviously I don't have a stake here, but I believe the landlord should know, or the current owner should have that answer for us. And if they don't, we can certainly get one. And maybe you guys know something I don't know. No.
This is probably something that'll end up going, should it pass through here, go to the zoning board, but you said there's a singular bay door, so all of the activities really happening internally, and I'm thinking in terms of proximity to residential and noise on weekends or what like that. So is that correct? Like, you have contained work, basically?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's, my concern was just noise related in proximity to residential area.
Yeah, that's a good point. This building is really special because if you think of a repair shop, it has all these bays in the front, and they're always opening and closing, and you can see a lot, you can hear a lot. This building is probably as quiet as you can get, because even the bay door that's on there is pretty small. So the rest of the building, as mentioned, is made of brick or cinder block. I'm not sure, but it's pretty insulated in there.
If we grant you approval, I assume you wouldn't have any problem fixing the tree out front, the dead tree, replacing that with a live tree. The side light fixtures, apparently, that's probably not a big deal to replace those, just because of the way they're shining. And you know you're going to have to get a variance from ZBA, so you're looking forward to that. I don't know what other restrictions we might lie upon this.
Well, I'd actually like to see more of a landscape plan. And, if they are, we usually require, landscape plan, the building, and a lighting plan. And it seems like we keep kind of getting away, not you, it's not you, but us as a commission keep kind of sliding things. So I kind of would like to hold to that standard and see an actual landscape plan, because there is a lot of opportunity just to the south of you, where there's a tree and then kind of a half of a tree that's kind of leaning there, and then the one out front as well, to kind of, bring some life back to that area. So I would love to see that.
You want to see it on paper rather than...
I would, yeah.
Then we just say
I
that...
think that's our job here,
We
right?
just say you're going to replace the lights, and we don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody else does that for us. And it's obviously you're going to get the ZBA, but the cross-access, that, I don't know if that's required in writing. Would it be, Joe?
For a shared access, yeah.
Shared access, it's just so he doesn't get blocked off at some point in time?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if it's not in writing somewhere that you're allowed to use it, the other property owner could block it at some point. So if you-
Would that skew the entire deal, though, if the other guy says, hey, you can't drive through our lot? It's,
Well, it would be hard for them to turn around, right? Or,
It makes the site less functional, I
Yeah.
would say, but, they could still probably operate there. It's just a matter of how they feel about that arrangement, I guess.
well, it's not like the smoke problem we had with the barbecue. If people can't drive through there, they're not going to be coming in here and complaining to us. They're going to be complaining to somebody else. So that would be your problem at that point. So you make nice with your neighbors and make sure you have an agreement to do that. Because after that point, we can't do anything about it,
Right.
once you're in there. Were there any other restrictions that we?
yeah, we talked about the insurance. If you do come back with more detailed plans, the plan would, make sure you have that dumpster enclosure as with a masonry wall. I'm not sure about the paint. I don't know if it was something, is there currently paint? Because it seems like it was just painted, so.
So, first of all, this is literally my first time doing this, so I'm so
Yeah.
sorry because we try to be prepared. Clearly, we sucked at it. But if you look at, so I'm not like I'm trying to be as straight without, So if we pride ourselves in, and I should have brought pictures of our shops. We're trying to run like a luxury sort of like, I don't want to sound weird, but like female-friendly auto shops where they're like super clean. The first thing we're gonna do, whether it wasn't even about like when we buy a building, it's not for the city, it's really for our customers. We paint the whole building, do all the landscaping, put new lights up, put up a beautiful sign. Our lobbies look like coffee shops. And you're all welcome to visit anytime. I'm not trying to bribe anybody, but yeah, it's one of those things where we have to do that. So I was planning on doing all that regardless. We're not trying to run a dingy, weird shop. Like we're trying to make it look really nice. And I have big dreams for this
Yeah.
this building. I think it's going to look really sharp when we're done with it.
Well, we'd love to be able to see your plans.
Yeah.
For it. Do you plan on adding any windows to the front or anything like that, or?
Yeah, I would like to, but
Yeah.
if that's going to make your guys' lives harder, then no. But yes, I would
No,
like
I mean,
to.
obviously, we want to try to improve the buildings as much as possible
Yeah.
when you come to us, so the more the better.
Would love to, yes. I would love to have more light inside. Natural light makes it really welcoming. So right now it has really small windows. I would like to have some big ones.
Yeah, they're
It's-
glass black too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'd like to add them on the would be the south side of the building, facing east, but more so the south corner. That's where we're gonna put the waiting area for the customers. So yeah, I would love to if you guys are cool with that.
I mean, yeah, we would, and really, it's something that's probably easier for you to do all at once, right? Instead of having to come back, because sometimes people don't realize that those kind of changes in a building, you'd have to come back to us for. So I think it might be nice to kind of get everything all together all at once and bedazzle us, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
In principle, I'm supportive of it. I think, we're kind of trying to revitalize that area of Clausen, and it's already got some collision shops there, and, slowly but surely, it's been a little bit depressed lately, but it's starting to really come back, and, I think if you can put a plan together that shows what you're thinking about in terms of colors, paint, the windows, we don't approve signs, but if you can give us some idea. I'm looking at the Auto Pro on Troy, sort of looks like you share with the collision shop. So that's a little busy. I'm not sure I'm thrilled with quite how that aesthetic
Yeah.
is, but you can work with Nick on that. But I think it would be good to have the easement agreement as in your package, and ideally, if you can get the one-way flow with the angled parking for your customers, maybe restore 5 feet of grass. I think that part of the landscaping plan will really make the whole thing pop very well. I don't think you'll have any problem with approval. Yeah.
Awesome.
My opinion, I'm just one
Yeah.
vote.
Yeah. Awesome.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions for the applicant?
So I'm making just a bit of an assumption here, so I just want to try and jump in procedurally, like what the next steps may look like for you all to know what the process would be, and then so the applicant knows as well. So again, when we have special land uses, we set it up so the special land uses, it's a separate agenda item before the site plan. So again, here's the assumption. I'm assuming everyone seems to be okay with the special land use itself right now. So if you were to hold the public hearing, vote on the special land use, and then when we get to the next item, the site plan, make your motion to postpone contingent on the submittal of whatever that may be. And then in the meantime, they can work on that, getting those updated plans to us, so we can have that on the next agenda as possible for review. And then with the variance as well, they can start that process once the special land use is issued. So that's kind of what I'm looking at based on some of the feedback tonight from
So you're saying we're going to post 2 votes on this?
Well, yes, you'll have your vote for the special land
Special
use,
land use.
and if you do make that motion for
That's-
approval, that would be
that's-
conditional of the variance being approved by the ZBA.
Right.
And then the next vote tonight would be the site plan, which at that point, you'd have it postponed contingent on the submittal of whatever that may be.
Okay, so it might be a good time for me now to open for public.
Unless there's any questions for me, I just want to try and set up the process for you.
We've kind of got some basic here before I pull a vote on that. I'll open it for public hearing. And if you want to say something, you can come to the microphone and we'll give you 3 or 4 minutes if you give us your name and tell us if you live in Clausen or not.
Good evening. My name's Stuart Supernat. I live at 663 Gooddale. Been there about a year and a half. 2 things. Number one, all you guys be aware, there's another repair shop just up the road called Auto Castle. They have 1-door, single-door entry. They have 6 bays. Compare the properties that on that corner and the properties at Auto Castle, and you'll see my concern immediately. Secondly, traffic. Okay, we have a collision shop. We have Earl's. Parking. There's no parking on Gooddale alongside that building. You also have the no turn on red, which gets traffic terrible. It's also one of the 2. You have Lincoln and you have Gooddale that has accommodations down to the inner streets. We have Prime, we have FedEx, we have everybody coming up and down that street. There's a lot of traffic, a lot of noise because of it. And the biggest thing I've seen, and what concerns me, I lived in Royal Oak. We had a repair shop at the end of Midland and Rochester. He wasn't supposed to park on the street. He had a big lot, everything else. But when the cars were done, he put the customer cars on the street and come pick it up. And right now, Gooddale parking is absurd as it is. So those are my three concerns. But like I said, the big thing is go drive up to Auto Castle, take a look at that property. It's just south of 15 on the west side. And then take a look at the property here. They want to do basically the same thing from what I'm understanding. And that property by Gooddale is half of the property at Auto Castle. So my concern is the traffic and the area and everything else. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else in public wishing to opine? Can you come to the microphone, please?
Hello,
Evening.
I'm Robert Hayes. I live at 860 Gooddale, just east of there. I moved in 1990, bought the house. Over the years, I've used several of those businesses on Rochester Road, auto repair, collision repair and stuff. Some of them are still there, some of them are gone. So I was curious how many were there, so I did a search of auto repair, and a bunch of them popped up, way more than I realized were on Rochester Road there. But some of them that I knew were there didn't show up, so I did another search, collision repair, and even more popped up. Okay? So I was just curious, and as Ms. Redmond had mentioned, is there a need? Does Clausen need another auto repair shop? That's all I wanted to come up and say. Good luck making your decision.
Thank you. Anyone else in public? Seeing none, I will then close public comment. And do we pull a vote on this, Nick, to approve special land use?
We're supposed to, yeah.
Sorry, I was typing some notes from that. So yes, as I was talking about, if the planning commission would like to make a motion, they would do that for the special land use, and then, as I mentioned, the site plan would include the other
So
items.
I'll entertain a motion for the.
Well, I guess I can make a motion, but I also kind of want to discuss the public comments.
For
Can make a
discussion.
motion, I'll wait for support, and we'll have comments before I pull vote.
Well, I'm not confident making a motion to approve, considering that I think, I'll make a motion that we deny the approval because the applicant has not demonstrated a need in the community for the special land use application.
Yeah, I'll support for discussion, yeah.
Yeah, so I do believe that there's a lot of service, repair, collision already there. There's ones that have been there for generations, and I don't want to, saturate too much that exact area with more if, I just don't know that a demonstrated need has actually been shown. I would have liked to ask the gentleman how many he added up in that exact area, since he counted. I don't have the number, but I do know that there's a lot there.
Well, you can't really compare this to a bump and paint collision shop. They're completely different entities. With a bump and paint shop, you're gonna get a lot of noise, fumes, and overnight parking. The car's gonna stay there for a while. This, to me, sounds like it's a fast in-out.
Yeah, I'm talking about the saturation of the actual need for it in our community. Is there a need? I know he talked about a couple little areas. He talked about a shop that was busy, but I don't necessarily know that a need was demonstrated.
Well, this property was previously a Napa Auto Parts store, and it's been vacant for 2 to 3 years or so. So I'm having problems myself as to why an auto parts store closed up and they come in here with a repair shop. I don't see a big problem with the use of it that way.
Yeah.
My
Most of the
opinion.
stores he's referring to are in Troy, anyways, I mean, about a mile up the road almost. So my concern would be parking, though. I mean, the idea of having service vehicles in and out sounds good. I mean, but in all actuality, I mean, is that really the case? If you have so many spots dedicated to employees and only 7 up front, there's bound to be some spillover. And to the gentleman's point from the audience, you know, where are those cars gonna end up? Are they gonna end up on Goodale? So, that's one of my concerns.
Well, and just because there's Troy, even if it's a different city, it's probably filling a need in our city. So like there's a transmission place. I mean, they might not all be called the same thing, but they do repairs. I don't know if Gills does repairs or if.
Yeah, I believe so.
Huh?
Gills does repairs too.
Yeah.
Repairs as well. And they're literally across the street. And then there's the Caliber, and Excel. There's,
There's Phil Cavill on 14 Mile. Phil Cavill on 14 Mile.
I just did a research and there's an estimate of 20 to 30 automotive service businesses, anything including repairs, oil, collision, tire, et cetera. So,
in Clausen?
yes.
Yeah, DNS engines, right down the street.
So in,
So would we feel more comfortable postponing special land use requests as well, pending more information from the applicant on?
Well,
I think-
without approving this, the special land use, I think the site plan is,
Right,
Oh,
which
he's
we know is
saying-
postponing.
Null and
I was gonna say
Postpone this.
postpone this as well as the site plan, just to get more information from the applicant. If he says there may be data that he can supply in terms of demand and how he differentiates his business against those others that we've kind of referenced. Is
I
that
mean, I'd be,
sound like
yeah, I'd
what
be
where you're
interested in
going?
that, yeah. I'd be okay with that. And, you know, I'd maybe like to speak to some of the surrounding ones. It's not like it's a by right, right? It's a
Right.
special land use, so if we're gonna constrict, you know, possibly someone else's business, with a special land use, I'd kinda wanna know about it. So, yeah, I mean, I can withdraw my motion.
would you hold your motion to deny the special land use, or would you simply delay the vote on this?
I think
What-
the appropriate action would be to amend your motion, and then the gentleman, Mr. Harrow, who supported that, would have to accept that amendment.
Okay,
We'll amend it to a delay rather than a deny?
Postpone until the applicant provide that
Sure,
information we requested.
I would like to amend my motion to postpone pending further information from the applicant.
I'll support that.
Support.
Support? Okay.
Okay, any
So
further
before
comment?
we vote, do we want Joe or anybody else to provide any additional information, or just put that all on the applicant? I don't know how that feels.
If you want to have the applicant come up and answer any questions that came up, I think that's more than okay, since he's the applicant and it's still up for consideration.
I think we already went through that with our discussion. I think they know what we're looking for, and you know what they're looking for. So if they come back, they should have drawings of what, say, the trash containers look like, and
Or
what-
just-
what-
They'll be
what the
fine.
lands- what the plants look like, the landscaping.
If you do have data, I think it would be important to provide that, knowing like how many customers, whatever. If you have that data, I think it would be nice for us to see it, to know that there is that customer basis that needs that in Clausen, so we're not oversaturating our really small community with auto repair and such. So,
I agree.
Okay, thank you.
I'd rather have the information rather than deny the request today.
Yes,
I think that's-
We'd make an
Yeah.
informed decision, and then
Right.
it's up to us whether we want to ask for additional site plan
think-
amendments, because, you know, he may not want to do that step until we approve the special land use, I don't know.
Right.
But
Right.
for this, I support your motion
Yeah,
at this point.
I think that's.
okay, so I have a motion to postpone the special land use, and I have support. If there's no further comments, may I have roll call, please?
Mr. Hale,
Yes.
Mr. Harrow,
Yes.
Mr. Cusero,
Yes.
Ms. Lalonde,
Yes.
Ms. Redmond,
Yes,
Mr. Solomon,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
and Ms. Collins.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was going to say, welcome to Clausen, but we'll work with you here. We'll see what we can do. In that case, agenda item number 8, the consideration of the site plan for the same building is null and void at this point, right?
Well, I would recommend just postponing that as well.
It'll postpone along with, so next time you come back, we'll end up doing pretty much the same as what we did
You want a
tonight.
motion?
Yeah, I would-
Okay,
I would
I'll
ask for a
make a
motion.
motion to
Thank you.
postpone the site plan application for 607 North Rochester Road.
Support.
And a roll call, please.
Do we want to discuss anything? Because we did make a lot of requests that I know
We did,
Nick
and
took
I-
notes, and I was just kind of curious if we wanted to make sure that was,
I think it's fair, though, that maybe he wants to wait on data and us, for sure. You know, if you want to wait to go through all that process, and I know architects cost money, I think it might be fair to, however that
Nick, would
works.
you feel
Leave it
comfortable
open. I
working?
think we'll have in the minutes, I'll have some comments for
Yeah.
what was talked about tonight.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, roll then.
Good if you're good.
I'm good.
Mr. Harrow,
Yes.
Mr. Cusero,
Yes.
Ms. Lalonde,
Yes.
Ms. Redmond,
Yes.
Mr. Solomon,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Ms. Collins,
Yes.
and Mr. Hale.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we totally walk away from this, I just have one question, I guess, to the group. The concerns raised about oversaturation in an industrial area. Is there not concern about a building that's set vacant for 2.5 years when you have interest in revitalizing something? I mean, I think there's something that's still value. You already have an established area that is, I don't want to say ripe with automotive, I don't know, vibes. I can't think of appropriate words, but I mean, there seems to be there's got to be some consideration for the fact that it's already a known area for that type of work. And why not, if you've got somebody who's excited about something, revitalizing something, take a building that's been sitting for 2.5 years and give it life? I don't know. This concept of oversaturation, I guess
It's an interesting concept. It's like you have a restaurant, and the restaurant goes out of business. The business has been vacant for 2 or 3 years. Another restaurant wants to move in. And my attitude is, hey, fine, bring it on. But you're saying maybe there's too many restaurants. We don't need more restaurants. It's
everybody eats and everybody drives, so.
it's a process, you know.
And I'll just note, if I may, to that comment, is typically when we have vacant buildings, whether they end up being occupied or not, there's typically enough interest where Joe and I will have some pre-application meetings, phone calls with people interested in this site. In this 2.5, 3 years that this place has been vacant, we've had maybe 1 or 2 serious people interested, and it's been at least 6 months at the very least since we've had someone contact us about this site. And so it's unfortunately just not very sought after because of what was used before. It was built for that use, and so it's kind of hard to redevelop that into something else, especially because it's zoned industrial as well. So there's some other pieces to consider to that.
Well, I would like to make a comment with that said, because it's something that does kind of pull at me a little bit. I don't think that we should necessarily compromise so much if the seller is asking for a certain price for a certain building and only a certain person is going to pay that based on the condition and the use and all these things. I don't think that that's necessarily us. Maybe it's, the seller that needs to consider, being able to make a price adjustment
It's a
or
market, yeah.
or market their building a little bit better. And I'm not speaking about this seller in particular. I'm just saying in general, I don't think that whether or not a building is sat empty for an amount of time, it shouldn't put a burden on us to just take anything that's there, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. Because really, what does that do for us? If they're asking too much money or the building's not up to a certain standard, then we should pressure them to, not pressure them to change their price, but, do things, they might have to reconsider certain things. And I just don't feel like residents in the city should have to, deal with that. It's not necessarily us that is the problem sometimes. I guess I'll leave it at that.
Can I ask a related question? You might have to help me remember correctly, but when I first joined, it was 2 or 3 years ago, And I thought Joe, perhaps, or it was you, Nick, I don't know, talked about how we had a shared service where Oakland County would help list vacant properties to get more visibility. Is that still exist? Are we still doing that?
So that's through the MEDC redevelopment ready communities.
I was
And we
never
can,
going to remember that name, but thank you.
yes, we can chat about that a little bit later in the meeting. Just again, I know we're talking about the same topic, but we want to try and just keep to the agenda. So we can talk about some of the stuff maybe a little bit further near staff report and the planner's update, if that's okay. But yes, you're trending in the right direction.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I think we're all heading in the right direction here. We'll postpone this. Hopefully you'll get some drawings together and we'll continue with this and see how this plays out. And good luck to you. Now we move on to agenda item number 9, which is consideration of scheduling a public hearing on the ground floor parking zoning ordinance amendment.
So this draft amendment was updated based on our discussion from the last meeting. And I guess I'll take any questions or comments you have on that updated draft. And it's really, a blank was filled in item A and item E was added. Any comments, questions, thoughts?
Just to confirm, so the blank that was, we decided on 5% just based on the math. for
Yeah,
most
and
properties.
based on the functional,
Yeah.
exploration I did of it.
And what was the other one, I'm sorry?
On E,
E was added.
E was added, okay, thank you.
parking equipment, 3 bedrooms.
Yep, that was,
So, I did have to leave early during the last meeting, but, did it seem as though everyone came to a consensus that this was something that was a valuable, I guess?
I think that
Option?
the where we landed was it was something worth trying. I
Okay.
guess, was the
That's the feel I got when I left, but I didn't know if I missed anything.
we had concerns, maybe Nate can expand on it, around just the efficacy of what this would accomplish, but I saw it as it can't hurt, to our point, and it provides us some flexibility. So
Okay.
I was in support of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was hoping that there would be a more self-evident benefit, and to me, the residents are pretty clear about over-densifying multifamily, and it always is a question: are we getting another apartment? Are we getting another apartment? And that's valid concern. It's also kind of, as you were saying, if we're too rigid, we will take away opportunities to address potential blight issues, which nobody wants either. So I was hoping that this would be a very self-evident win, where we had a higher quality development. Maybe green space was a perk. It just 5% is like, it's not much green space. It's almost not worth doing for 5%. And then, when you add item E to further, relax the parking requirement, a flag goes up. But in this case, for a 3-bedroom unit, I think that's fairly reasonable. So I think people are going to look at a 4-story building and think it's big. It's a big change to Clausen, even if it is the same 42 height than the CC.
Yeah, maybe 4 stories, but it's still limited in height.
Right. So it's just when you see 4 sets of windows.
It does feel
do you
more
feel
dense, right?
smaller? Does a 5'11" guy suddenly feel 5'6"? I don't know. I want it to look beautiful. I want the downtown, to be as as professionally developed as possible with a very harmonious, I guess, interaction with the adjacent structures. So I'm a little bit on the fence with it personally, but I wish that there was a better example of a development. You know, Joe did a great job, you know, with the Fabric Care lot, trying to make something there, and I don't know if it gets any better than that. So I guess, you know, if it's a self-evident benefit and, you know, this fixes a very clear and present problem, I would be all for it. If it just relaxes something that we may regret later in an actual practical example, then I don't know why we did it so prematurely, maybe.
What do you mean by prematurely, can I ask?
If we change it now, you know, if we add the ground floor parking option, you know, we're committed to it. Anybody can come and take advantage of it, even in a different site where there's other trade-offs that we don't like, that we didn't think of because it was a fictitious example on the Fabric Care site. We've kind of tied our hands at that point, you know. It's by right at that point. So I'm a little concerned about what will happen if we make that accommodation and don't end up liking the result at the end. Right now, we're protected against these superstructures from what appear to be superstructures by the current ordinances. So we were asked by council, by the city manager, to explore it. I think we've certainly done that. What would have, again, been the obvious, really nice home run was to go back to him and say, we explored it, there's win-win here. There's a practical, you know, benefit. As I said last time, maybe the juice was worth the squeeze.
Well, can you, I guess, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I don't think all architecture would lend itself to be able to discern between 2 and 4 stories with, take for example, the Clausonian, that's all glass facade, right? I think the harmony is found in the consistent heights, though. And if all buildings are consistently the same height,
Yeah.
I think there's the harmony in the area. And I think there is a benefit to being able to provide more parking in an area that otherwise wouldn't be able to. Therefore, opening up a lot more opportunity to some of these sites that aren't currently developable.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I can see both sides. Like, when we were talking about that church next to residential, I had a lot of concern that even though the building might be the same height, the density of that building was extraordinary, or had the opportunity to be. So I can see where, but I feel differently a little bit here because we're in city center, you're not buttoned up to residential. So I feel like that density, you know, is kind of made for city center a little bit. I am curious, and I'm not trying to challenge you at all, Nate, but I am curious, like, how would you define a win for this? Because I'm not sure I know what that is either necessarily, because it is so new in our
Like
exploration.
We couldn't fit that many more parking spaces on that site, you know, doing it.
Okay,
So, you know, if we had gotten more parking spaces, then the developer could have had more units. So,
but that means that it's less dense then.
well, I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm not anti-developer, anti-density completely either. I'm trying
Yeah.
to see it from both sides. But yeah, if we had been able to get more spaces in there than what we would have without it, that would be the clear win. And
Yeah.
then we could have, like you say, maybe 2, 3-bedroom units up there that we couldn't have other ways. You know,
See, I feel like this does incentivize more of a 3-bed because they can't get that extra density necessarily, but maybe I'm reading it wrong
no,
too.
you're right.
I
You're right.
think the overall benefit is predicated on the lot size and the situation at hand.
Yeah.
You know, we have lots around that really aren't attractive to development of any sort because it doesn't meet parking requirements of any kind, right? So even if we can get 2 spots in and it opens up, you know, the possibility of something to come in, I'm for that.
Maybe, yeah.
But in this example, it's the same number of parking spots, you just got a little bit of green space. So you didn't win anything on the parking, you win.
On green
tiny bit.
space.
I mean, green space is what we always fight
Yeah.
for.
Tiny, but
Predicated on this lot size, so every
Yeah.
site is different.
Sure.
And that might not be the case in certain sites.
Well, I think that speaks to what Nate was saying
Yeah.
about making a decision based on this particular lot and not maybe something that maybe a different scenario.
Yeah. And I think green space is a benefit, especially if you live there and you know,
yeah.
just want to touch grass, you know? I mean, I think it's kind of a,
I'm super pro green space.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not anti this because,
Yeah.
I'm not anti this period, actually. I'm just saying I wish it was more than 5%.
Yeah.
I thought somehow we could, for some reason in my head, I thought we could have like at least 10, and we
Right.
could have more spots, and they could have more units, and it was just a little bit more of a force
Wrong
multiplier
city.
than it ended up being, but it's not bad, to Mr. Carpenter's point. I mean, if we do any easement at all that helps a lot that we absolutely can't develop now, I think that's reasonable. And I'm hoping the setback modification ordinance that we made, I hope that's the big one that opens some doors. But
so does everybody feel pretty comfortable with setting a public hearing and what the text?
Yeah, we're just going to try to schedule a public hearing on this, and even at that, when the public comes and comments, we can get their input from it,
Yeah.
and we can still tweak it again before we send it on to mayor and council. So this is not our last shot at this thing. So do you feel like I think we can open it for a public hearing, set it up at our next
for sure.
schedule?
What would the date be for, are you guys thinking, Joe, we're not January? Okay.
13th.
January 13th?
on the cover sheet.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I will, if everybody is good, I will make a motion to set a public hearing for the ground floor parking zoning ordinance amendment for January 13th.
Support.
Motion support. May I have roll call, please?
Mr. Cusero,
Yes.
Ms. Lalonde,
Yes.
Ms. Redmond,
Yes.
Mr. Solomon,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Ms. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Hale, and Mr. Hara.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we do have a discussion of duplexes in the Central Mixed Use District, CMD, Planners Report.
Right, we brought this up last time, and it was the thing that was ready to discuss further this time, so you've got it in your packet. I'm gonna open it first, though. Plus, I have a little presentation with some visuals that I will put up on the screen once I get through the memo here. So, yeah, I mean, the basic part of it, I think you may have left before we got to this last time, but the basic discussion was that attached single-family and multifamily are allowed in the CMD, but the definition of attached single-family excludes duplexes. So we were talking about adding duplexes as well as the attached single-family. And really, it would just be a matter of adding the item to 3.1K2 in the ordinance and noting that dwellings, two-family/duplex, are permitted on lots that don't front on Main Street or 14 Mile Road. And
That don't front on Main Street?
yeah, so anywhere that CMD fronts on a side street, you can do the duplex.
Do we not have duplexes now that are on Main and 14 Mile?
There may be a couple on Main Street.
I thought there's one down on like 14 at Rochester across from Val's.
Yeah, there is.
There is, yeah.
It's a house with
Yeah,
two
right on
two
the-
mailboxes.
Right by that
Oh,
alley.
yeah,
Two gas
there is
meters.
one there, yeah.
And I've seen a lot of them on side streets. That's the only one I can think of on the main drag.
There are actually quite a few of them peppered around town, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, so we're talking specifically, I guess, only in the CC or
This in
sorry,
the
CMD,
CMD,
would
yeah.
there be side streets, right?
Yeah.
So they're non-conforming now, but this would bring them into alignment?
Well, if they're in the CMD, then it would. But I don't know how many, I don't think they would actually affect any that are already in existence. Because of where the CMD is. But
So how many side streets? Did you guys already go over this? But I see Pear, Renshaw.
Pear, Renshaw, Florence, and there's not much else. There's a couple other.
Church.
Yeah, Church has some, and Bowers, if anything was facing Bowers. Of course, most of that's parking lot right now, but there's a couple sites there that are other uses.
So this would be to amend the CMD ordinance to allow for duplexes? That's what you're looking to do?
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
list of uses in that district. And just a real quick, let's see. Okay. Yeah, I just put together a little quick visual aid here, if I can get to the part of this that I need to get to.
So how did you set what would this doesn't look like a residential setback.
So what you've got in the CMD is a range for the setbacks, 0 to 25 feet. So I just wanted to show a little bit about how something like this might fit on a site. In the upper right corner, you've got no garage. It's just like parking pads in the back. There's a garage in the other three versions plus a parking pad so that you'd have maybe like each resident would get like a spot in the garage and a spot on the pad or something like that. One of them is built up to the sidewalk like other CMD things can be built, and the other ones are pushed back a little bit. Just kind of showing like roughly how one of these could potentially be situated on a lot. Of course, there's a massive variety of architectural approaches that you can take to these things, and I mean, I can't ever really show all the potential variables. But really, the two main types of duplex that you would see are something like this, which is a side-by-side, so 2 units, ground floor entry, and then half the building is one unit, half the building is the other. And then you can see like the example in the corner there, if I move my little thing that's in the way out of that way. Has a garage in the back, kind of like I showed in the other example. And then you've got another example, and this is more of like an up-down duplex where you've got a unit on the upper floor and a unit on the lower floor. So the two doors are kind of right next to each other, and the building is just split up vertically instead of horizontally.
What's the approximate lot width, would you say, for most of these potential sites?
A lot of them are 50. A couple of them are a little more, but 50 is kind of the most common lot width, I would say.
What standards are we using? CMD standards for
CMD
these?
standards, yeah.
Especially on a side street, I would think we would want to more conform with a residential standard than a CMD standard, wouldn't we? If we're going to, I guess. if
Well,
you can put
I mean,
a
it's in the CMD
multifamily
district, though.
there.
Yeah, you can already put multifamily or row houses or something there, so it's kind of, it would fit the district, basically.
And the front setback on a CMD is, did you already say it? What's the front
It's
setback?
0 to 25 feet, so.
0 to 25 feet. And what about the rear?
If it backs up to other CMD or CC,
Oh, right, we just did
yeah.
that.
But if
Zero.
it backs up to another
Residential.
residential district, then it would be 30 feet, which is
Okay.
basically the same as R2, R1 and R2.
See, I feel like we should have more of a, especially a residential use, even if it is in a CMD or even CC, I'll say, even if it's only 5%, but a little bit more of a yard home feel, like those ones look like they've got front yard-ish, but we don't have a specific lot coverage of, like we do in a residential, correct? They can.
That's right.
Pretty much cover their whole lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Joe, was there like a particular catalyst of this conversation? Was there some like properties that you identified that?
We did have one, it's one of the standard lots that faces one of the side streets where, they wanted to do 2 units. And basically, when we looked at the ordinance, we found that they would have to do a minimum of 3, to be able to put something on the lot, in that district. And 3 is overstuffing the site, but 2 you could do pretty easily. And in order to do the kind of like attached single family, like a row house type thing that you can do in the district, you need to have multiple lots that you can aggregate so that you can put the things next to each other. Whereas the duplex, you could use a single lot to do something very similar.
So our ordinance refers to multifamily as 3 or more, because I always thought it was 5 or more, 4 or more.
It's whatever this memo says, because it's
Yeah, it
copyrighted.
says
as
3 or
ordinance.
more, so we're missing that. In,
I think 5 or more, you are thinking about what the difference is between a commercial designation and
Right,
a,
a
in
residential.
real estate.
yeah, yeah. I thought for some reason we followed that ordinance. Or not, that's not an ordinance, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, do we have designation, like what type of parking for CMD? The only thing I hesitate with is that we don't have a lot of teeth to our residential uses in CMD or core residential, like I felt like the last time when we were going through with the church, where we want to bring that residential feel into that spot. Obviously a little bit more dense, but I feel like there aren't a lot to our residential uses in those areas. So is there specifics on the parking must be behind the building or things like that?
Well, in CMD, parking can be in front only on the south side of 14 Mile, in that one area where like Renshaw and Old Port and
Right,
stuff
which we
is.
just did as well.
So it has to be in the back, on the side streets.
Oh, on the side streets, it's
Yeah.
automatically restricted to the back? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a way that we could make sure that if it's a residential use, it's going to be in the back? I mean,
Well, I mean,
I would love to look at our residential uses in these areas with the cluster, like I said before, doing a cluster thing, but just an overall look at them to make sure there's, still a residential feel to them and not a, too commercial.
I mean, it seems like the current strategy is trying to get a single-family house on that lot.
A duplex, I guess, right?
Well, that's what's on the table, but, at the moment, without a duplex accommodation, it's, as Joe said, you could combine lots and put up something, or you could do a single family.
Yeah, single family's not actually even permitted in
Right.
CMD, so it's, that's the other thing, is that we were trying to basically scale it down a little bit so that if you had one of these lots, you could do something
Do
with it
something,
as
yeah.
opposed to.
Well, and I like the idea of keeping it less dense, right? Because if you can put an apartment building there, right, we're trying to bring in more of the duplex uses. I just want to make sure that it's going to look the way we think it's going to look when it comes, right? Instead of it, not considering all of those things. I guess I don't know fully how far you guys went last time with it.
Not that far. Yeah. we've-
Yeah, no, I mean, we just
Yeah.
got to the point where we said, well, okay, let's talk more about it.
So is there a way we can kind of put something together that would give us, how we had the options for a general schematic of what that would look like I'm not asking you to recreate too much, but, we kind of have a layout in a building envelope plan for other areas that are more commercial, that we bring residential in, and we can kind of designate, this is what the parking should look like, this is what X should look like. Do we have a parking standard for a duplex, or are we going by,
It's the same as a single-family home, so
It's the same
two
as that?
spaces on the site, yeah.
2 spaces for each unit?
Yeah, per
Okay.
unit, yeah.
I think it would be nice to kind of add a little bit of meat to that, I guess.
I'm looking one thing up right here while you're talking. I just want to confirm something that I think is there. I want to make sure I'm not thinking of another ordinance. So we have a section of the ordinance, 4.2, standards for single-family attached dwellings. And it applies to things in the RM1 and RM2, but you could always add something there, like a section C that says, duplexes in the CMD district, fill in the blank. That would,
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the spot I was imagining as well. Again, maybe addressing other things that we've run into here as well.
yeah, because we could talk, we could address a little bit about the CR district as well while doing that.
Right, I mean, because really, this could potentially be used for the CR, if we did add to that portion, right?
Well, we're only talking about adding it to CMD.
But if we put it in 4.2, CR conveys to 4.2, doesn't it? The core residential says that we go to 4.2 for our standards, I believe.
I can confirm that, but section 4.2 doesn't actually talk about the core residential district. It says in the RM1 and RM2 districts, so if there's a reference, it's a
So
dead
what I
end-
mean
it's a
is,
dead
like,
end
when you
reference.
go to core residential and you look at what the multifamily attached dwellings are, we ran into that with the church. If you go to core residential and look at single-family attached, it takes you to 4.2. So I'm agreeing, I think that would be a good spot, and we can kind of address both of those things at the same time.
Okay, just making a note to myself to bring something to you to that effect. Which I can do.
So what's the feeling? We need more discussion on this, or do we schedule a public hearing?
I don't think it was up for a public hearing,
Yeah,
correct?
it's an option.
So it's always an option,
Oh,
yeah.
was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's always an option if you're ready to roll
Yeah,
with
if
it.
we present language, we present it to you as an option to discuss or set the public hearing
Oh,
So
okay.
we're going to have a public hearing on the 13th,
for ground floor parking.
so, on ground floor parking, but while we have public here at that one, we can also discuss this and see if they're interested in that. It's disappointing that we get very little public input. I'd rather get more, but it is what it is, I guess. I mean, but if they're here for a notification on ground floor parking, we got some people here, maybe they'll stick around and they'll let us, listen to us go through this.
I guess I'd like to
I don't know that we
know
should
more.
schedule it as that.
I might want, we might want to
Well, it sounds like
discuss
there
like
was
one more time.
some inquiry on just some text that will be changed or added or proposed. So I don't know if we're ready to schedule a public hearing just because that's subject to change.
So we'll tweak it first, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think Joe has some notes that'll make some edits to show you.
Yeah, okay, I'm good. All right, we happy with that? And then shall we move on to staff report and training opportunities?
All right, before I jump in too far, there is a two-part webinar series hosted by the Michigan Association of Planning. The first one on January 8th, and the second date is not on here. So I'm going to follow up probably tomorrow or Thursday and email you you all the information on this so you can register yourself. It's a free registration, so there's nothing that you have to do or pay for, else the city would cover that if you're interested. So I will email everyone the links to those if you would like to do it. It's about the past and future of planning in Michigan, so it's kind of like a historical context, and then they'll likely talk about what's going on in the statewide for planning. So I plan on attending that, and again, it's just a virtual webinar series on Zoom.
Nick, did you say you have to, you guys have to pay for that, or is it free for
Yeah,
anybody?
no, this is a free webinar series, so I was saying
Okay.
if it was paid for, I would collect your information so I can register for you, but this was free, so you'll just put in your name, email, and then your position, which you'll just put planning commissioner.
Okay, cool.
So I'll have that out to everyone this week. And then I also don't want to forget about Mr. Solomon's question about the MEDC RRC. So generally speaking, yes, it's something we can do and we've looked at doing, but a site like this where it's zoned industrial, where there's not really a need or desire to want to make that multifamily, a lot of the times when you're identifying RRC-ready sites, they're a mixed-use component, which again, this site one is just not currently built for that, or it doesn't really have the space to do a mixed-use component with a commercial and retail component to it. So it's something we've looked at a couple other sites, but it's also, in order to do that, we need to have buy-in from the property owner, and so that's kind of like the two-man approach that we're dealing with. So something we're always looking at, but for this site, I don't think it would work well.
No, I didn't, I guess I wasn't aware that it was specifically listing properties that would be kind of mixed use. So that's helpful to confirm, and then
and-
also, I understand not every one of your sellers is gonna wanna confirm and list on there.
Yeah, the one thing that we could do is, the state is carved up into regions for the purposes of all MEDC activities. We're Region 1, and each region has a rep. So I'm trying to remember the name. I think it might be Stephanie still.
Stephanie Pena.
So we could get in touch with Stephanie and talk to her about,
Yeah.
the sites and what we have for potential, because we're RRC Essentials. There's two tiers of certification: Essentials and Certified, and we're Essentials. So I think we have some potential opportunity.
Thanks. Yeah, I was just trying to address the comment that was made, right, of just buildings sitting vacant for too long, and how can we help in any way to move things along and get a good business in there, or something that we want to see.
Yeah,
So
of
thanks.
course. So then just moving on to the general report, again, there's not a ton of movement, but I do want to say that with us not meeting until January 9th, just, we're not going to meet the day before Christmas Eve. I just don't know if that'd be appropriate. I don't know if anyone wants to come here on Christmas Eve. So our team and I, we're going to be working on just a development report as a whole to kind of re-envision how this looks. I think this has been kind of a good piece for me when I first started, to just kind of get the base information to the planning commission, and then I did the same thing for the ZBA. But I think we can do a little bit more, and so next month in January, this might have a different look or feel to it. So I know I've gotten some feedback previously on kind of how the layout works best, what type of information is necessary. So that's kind of why there's not much changes to this one. I didn't want to put too much time into it, knowing that we're going to probably make some bigger changes as a whole. But I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I'm pleased that, no, it says like Old Port, and that gives it a 278 address, otherwise it was very confusing.
One thing I would like to do is make it more than just 2 columns. That way it's more differentiated of what's what, and kind of give some dates as to when a site plan was applied
Right.
for, approved, and some just additional content like that. But it does take a little time just to input that data. So again, hoping to at least have a draft version ready to go for next meeting in
Yeah,
January.
it's like we all know the old Burger King site, but we don't know the numbers on it, offhand.
Yes, and that's what I'm hoping to do. I fortunately and unfortunately have a lot of these memorized, so it's easier for me, but I got to remember that you folks don't have that done. So
Yes.
again, easier for you, easier for the public, and at the same time, easier for us to kind of, again, track a little bit more internally.
We're always talking about 472 and 385.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're throwing out numbers and
People
streets.
listening to us would be like, what are these guys talking about?
It's code for
Google
something.
Map all this.
On the November 25th meeting, that's when they came in front of us for the mural at the window repair place on Rochester Road. Are they not coming back, or?
I have not heard anything from them, but we'll be following up again. So again, that likely something that'll be on that January meeting. On top of, we'll have, what do we, review the bylaws. Joe and I also talked about presenting some master plan content to you as well to kind of start that going. Would like to see some plans coming in during the winter so we can get those accomplished and approved before the building season starts, but it's been kind of slow right now, so I don't know what the deal is there. But if we're slow with plans, we want to continue moving forward on the master plan. So we'll have probably a packed agenda for the first meeting in January, but again, we'll have the second meeting off this month, and we only had 1 meeting last month, so let's be ready for a fun January.
I guess, I don't know if this is, maybe I should wait till comments, but you're already here, so I figured I'd save you from sitting down.
Please do.
Okay. But I saw in another community, they had an ordinance that if someone made alterations to their building and applied for that after the alterations were done, there was a different fee schedule versus coming to the planners before doing those alterations. And I didn't know if that was something we've ever explored, but I know that that's kind of been something that seems to be trending lately here. And if anybody was interested in maybe exploring the 2 different options, because I thought maybe it would incentivize.
It's a penalty for painting your mural before you get approval for it? Is that what you?
Right, there would be a different fee schedule for that, like where it's more expensive after it's done. And I've seen it done in another community, and it made me think of you all.
Regardless, they pay a fee though, right?
They do.
So if generally speaking, for a building permit, if someone does work in their home and pulls a permit after the work's done, it's double the permit fee is typically what it ends up being. Now, that's only for like trade permits, so if it's a site plan, we don't have that in place right now.
Yeah.
And the fee schedule is approved and set by city council. Now, I'm not saying the planning commission can't do anything, but they can't set what that fee would be. They could provide a recommendation, and the city council could move on that if they would wish.
So I just want to incentivize coming in, more so the commercial aspect of things, incentivize them, coming before work is done maybe. And how would we make that recommendation to council based on, we've seen X many come this year and thought this might be helpful?
I think that generally we could look at I want to make sure I get it right. just the general site plan review and approval standards in section 6.1. Just talking about, what constitutes administrative review, site plan, et cetera. I think there's a way we could look at that and tie it in there in that section. So we'll obviously have to take a look and see how it could fit, if anything else needs to be amended, et cetera. So that's something we'll take a look at. and
Yeah,
bring
just
to you.
throwing it out if anybody had interest in
Yeah.
exploring it, so.
And again, if it's an ordinance amendment in the zoning ordinance, kind of like how we did with the short-term rentals, you can approve the ordinance amendment with the recommendation that city council acts on something afterwards.
Right, okay, cool, thanks.
Okay, if someone comes in like they did tonight, a site plan approval they're seeking, they're paying X amount of dollars to come in front of us for
Correct.
that. And if we postpone them to a later date and they come back, are they charged again additionally, or is that part of the?
Not generally. It typically depends on the scale. Now, if someone applied for a site plan and they tweaked a couple minor things, no. But if they completely moved their building somewhere different where it
Drastic
constitutes a
change.
full re-review, then yes. But typically, no. An example that was referenced earlier was House of Barbecue. We did not charge them every meeting that they came back.
Yeah,
And
I
if it's minor things like that, we tend not to.
On the ZBA, though, you don't get your money back, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
If a variance is denied, it is a non-refundable fee, or approved for that matter.
Yeah, okay. Anything else for,
I just had one suggestion. With a new city council, I was wondering if it might be appropriate to set some type of joint meeting in the new year, especially as we talk about our progress on the master plan and what we are looking to accomplish, just to get some alignment, so they kind of know where our head's at and we know where their head's at.
Yeah, in January, they have their joint meeting with the school board, so January might be kind of tough to schedule an additional meeting for them, but we can
Yeah.
talk about doing that early in the
Sometime
year.
in Q1.
And especially before potential amendments start coming from the master plan, that way they're kind of caught up to speed. Again, they weren't on the council when that was approved, so it might be kind of unfamiliar to them. So I think that'd be a good point. Could you just do like a general workshop or town hall, call it whatever, but get both boards together.
Thank you.
okay, thank you. There is no legal update tonight because we don't have a lawyer. Anybody have any comments before we close down? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn then.
Well, actually, I will say just a few things. I don't know if anybody watched the last city council meeting, but there's very interesting things going on with reappointments right now. So I don't know where all that will lie. So I'll just take this opportunity to say, maybe see you next year, maybe not. But it's been an absolute privilege to serve here. And thank you, Nick and Joe, for guiding me and really having the city's best interest in mind. I think it's self-evident, as I've said before, Clausen is really on a good path, and there's no denying that the downtown is being revitalized. I think it's very much on the up and up. I love Clausen. I lived here 15 years, and it's been a privilege. I've met so many great people of all kinds of different backgrounds, people I would not have met had I not gotten into this, so it's been an absolute privilege. So I think you can go to wealthier cities and say this is a nice town, but there's not so many cities you can go to that are really amazing, that are a little bit more affordable and humble, and that's a sweet spot that Clausen has somehow cultivated over the years, and I think it's such a treasure. I hope we can preserve affordability here, truly, and just kind of operate within our means. That was my passion to be a part of, and I think we're more along those lines for sure. So, please keep high standards for decision making. We get into some situations here where it's like we don't have all the information we would like to make an easy rubber stamp yes or an easy rubber stamp no. Good in, good out kind of thing. But again, just thank you all so very much, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. Hope you have a wonderful holiday. Thanks to everybody.
Same here. Merry Christmas, everyone, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Somebody support it?
You guys want to stay here?
We'll be staying here until December 23rd.
I'm out, no.
Yeah, roll call, please.
Ms. Lalonde?
Yes.
Ms. Redmond?
Yes.
Mr. Solomon?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Ms. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Kucera?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and Merry Christmas to all.